6:14 local time. The first warning is not a sound, it is a shift in shape. On the radar display inside the Combat Information Center, 3 surface contacts that had been drifting on loose, unthreatening headings suddenly swung together. Not slowly, not by coincidence, 3 bows rotating in near-perfect unison until every one of them pointed at the same vessel. A United States warship. Surface contacts altering course. The watchstander calls out, bearing 089, 3 vessels closing. On the bridge, nobody wastes a syllable. The water is flat, the morning light sharp and without mercy, and the horizon is clear enough to make every movement read like intention. Off the starboard side, 3 dark shapes sit low against the surface, still far off, but no longer open to interpretation. Moments before, they had looked like ordinary traffic. Now they looked like a plan. The captain studies them through the bridge glass without a change in expression. "Track all 3, he says. "Bridge to bridge hail. Record everything." That is how it begins. No shouting, no ceremony, just procedure. The first radio call goes out clean and formal across maritime channels. Unidentified surface vessels. This is a United States warship operating in international waters. You are closing on an unsafe bearing. State your intentions. Nothing returns, no acknowledgement, no course correction, no hesitation whatsoever. Inside the Combat Information Center, the operators begin pulling the picture apart. One contact is slightly ahead of the others, driving at the highest speed. A second is drifting wide off the formation's left edge, not falling behind, but positioning. The third holds just outside the line, preserving enough distance to react to whatever happens next. This is not a random approach, it is spacing. The tactical action officer leans over the display. Lead contact accelerating 7.8 nautical miles. Another voice follows without a pause. Outer contact widening to starboard. Possible flanking position. The captain hears all of it through the bridge circuit. He does not interrupt. He does not need to. On a United States Navy warship, everyone in that chain already knows what those movements mean. One ship to apply pressure, one ship to block, one ship to support. Outside, the gun mount shifts a few degrees. Not enough to threaten, just enough to be seen. Long-range optics lock in. Electronic support measures begin searching for emissions. Every radar sweep, every bearing change, every knot of speed is now being recorded. Not because anyone wants this to escalate, but because if it does, the record has to be exact. At 6:15, the nearest contact sharpens on the camera feed. Grey hull, fast attack profile, no friendly signal, no attempt to identify. 6.9 nautical miles, the Combat Information Center reports. The second hail goes out, this time harder. Iranian vessels approaching United States warship. Alter course immediately. You are creating a hazardous situation. Still nothing. No voice, no click of a microphone, just 3 ships continuing to close. The bridge remains almost unnaturally quiet. Through the windows, the wake lines tell the story before the hulls do. The lead Iranian vessel is now driving straight in, its bow cutting a clean white trail across blue water. The second contact begins to angle inward from the opposite side, narrowing the space ahead of the American ship's projected track. The third stays farther out, watching, waiting, preserving room to move. Inside the Combat Information Center, the labels change. Contact 1, lead approach. Contact 2, crossing threat. Contact 3, outer support. Clinical language for a dangerous pattern. At 6:16, one of the Iranian ships lights up the electronic picture for a moment. A narrow surface search sweep touches the United States warship, then vanishes. Electronic warfare confirms intermittent radar emission, the operator reports. Low power. They're painting us. That matters, not because it is a weapons lock, it is not, but because it means the approach is no longer purely visual. They are measuring range, heading, and speed. Intent is becoming organized. The captain gives a second order: set higher alert posture, maintain course, do not escalate. That is the line for now. Hold steady. Do not surrender the water ahead of the bow unless it becomes unavoidable. Force the other side to declare itself through movement, not assumptions. Distance continues to fall, 6 nautical miles, then 5.4, then 5. The lead Iranian vessel is now close enough for the cameras to pick out motion on deck. Figures moving, helmets, crew stepping into position near the forward section. On the second vessel, a crewman appears near a mounted weapon. Not manning it yet, but not ignoring it either. Nobody on the American ship mistakes that for routine seamanship. At 6:17, the Combat Information Center updates the closest point of approach. The number shrinks fast. Closest point of approach under 3 nautical miles and falling. That lands hard because every sailor in that space knows what it means. At sea, distance is time, and 3 miles disappears quickly when multiple armed vessels are driving in from converging angles. The captain keeps his eyes on the water ahead. Hail them again. The transmission goes out one more time. Iranian naval vessels, alter course now. You are approaching a United States warship at unsafe distance. This is your final warning. Nothing. No answer on the radio. No turn away from the approach. No reduction in speed. Instead, the 3 ships tighten further. The lead contact pushes forward like a spear point. The second cuts inward to shape the intercept. The third remains just outside the pocket, exactly where a supporting vessel would want to be if this turned violent. On the bridge, nobody calls it harassment anymore. Inside the Combat Information Center, the tactical action officer looks at the display, then says what the geometry has already made obvious. This is coordinated. At 6:18 local time, with the range dropping below 4 nautical miles, 3 Iranian ships continue closing on a single United States warship from 3 angles at once. And the first truly dangerous minute has just begun. 6:19 local time. The trap starts to close. On the bridge, nobody says it out loud at first. They do not have to. The radar picture says enough. The lead Iranian vessel surges ahead another 2 knots, its wake thickening into a hard white line. Off the port side of the formation, the second ship cuts inward more aggressively now. No longer shadowing, no longer probing. It is moving to shape the water in front of the American ship's bow. Inside the Combat Information Center, the update comes fast. Lead contact, now 26 knots. Crossing contact tightening angle. Outer contact holding wide and matching. 3 separate movements, 1 coordinated effect. The captain keeps his hands still on the bridge rail, maintain speed. Minimal rudder corrections only. That order matters. Too much movement now and the American ship gives away initiative. Too little and the geometry tightens around her. This is the part of a maritime confrontation that never looks dramatic from a distance. No explosions, no smoke, just steel moving through open water, each turn forcing the other side toward a smaller and smaller box. At 6:20, the nearest Iranian vessel is close enough for the long-range optics to show hull detail. Grey paint, sharp bow, light spray breaking across the foredeck. Crew visible topside, 1 man near the forward mount, another moving aft with urgency rather than confusion. The surface warfare coordinator speaks into the net. No indication of distress, no indication of navigation error. That leaves intent. Another bridge-to-bridge hail goes out. Iranian naval vessels, you are creating risk of collision with a United States warship. Alter course immediately. Silence. No voice, no click, no static. Just the constant rush of water beneath the hull and the narrowing spread of 3 separate wakes converging on 1 patch of sea. The second Iranian vessel keeps cutting inward. It is no longer simply approaching the American ship. It is shaping a crossing line, threatening to force a turn or a reduction in speed. The third vessel remains farther out, preserving angle and distance exactly where it can either reinforce the close pass or exploit whatever opening the first 2 create. In the Combat Information Center, the closest point of approach updates again. 2.1 nautical miles. Then a beat later. Time to closest point of approach, 6 minutes. The bridge goes even quieter. That number is no longer uncomfortable. It is operationally dangerous. The captain makes the next decision carefully. Bring close-in weapons system to ready status. Keep it cold. Below and above deck, systems shift without drama. No blaring alarms, no visible panic, only the quiet hum of machinery entering a new posture. Remote weapon stations align. Sensors refine tracks. The ship does what it was built to do. Absorb information, hold discipline, and wait until action becomes unavoidable. At 6:21, the Seahawk crew is ordered to stand by on the flight deck. Rotor blades remain tied down for the moment, but the aircraft is no longer routine equipment. It is becoming an option, a presence tool, an eye in the air, a signal that can move faster than the ship itself. Then the Iranian lead vessel makes its boldest move yet. Instead of holding a parallel pressure line, it turns harder across the American ship's projected path. Lead contact crossing, the Combat Information Center snaps. The camera feed shows it clearly. The Iranian ship is not drifting. It is driving at speed across the United States warship's bow, forcing a decision in real time. If the American captain holds course too long, the distance closes to a level where collision becomes possible. If he turns too early, he surrenders sea room without protest. The point of the maneuver is not subtle, it is pressure applied with steel. Closest point of approach, 1.5, the Combat Information Center reports. The officer of the deck watches the angle through the bridge glass, judges the closure, and waits 1 second more. Then the captain gives it. Right 5 degrees, steady. Do not overcorrect. The helm answers instantly. Outside, the bow of the United States warship opens just enough to restore water where there had nearly been none left. It is not retreat, it is controlled avoidance. The smallest movement necessary to deny collision while preserving posture. Professional, measured, but everyone aboard understands what just happened. Iran forced a reaction. That fact is logged the moment it occurs. At 6:22, the lead Iranian vessel flashes across the forward sector at dangerous proximity. Its hull throws spray as it cuts through the American ship's path, close enough to convert a navigational incident into a tactical statement. The second ship, seeing the turn, tightens from the opposite side as though ready to exploit confusion. The third still waits outside the pocket, disciplined, patient, watching for the next gap. Inside the Combat Information Center, the tactical picture sharpens into something uglier. They're collapsing the maneuver box, one operator says. No one argues. The electronic warfare station catches another brief sweep. This one longer, more deliberate. They're scanning us again. On the optics feed, a shape moves near the deck weapon on one of the Iranian vessels. Another crewman appears near a launcher housing, possibly preparing, possibly signaling. In a situation like this, possibly is enough to get people killed. The captain does not raise his voice. Mark hostile maneuvering. Repeat warning. The radio call goes out immediately, hard and unmistakable. Iranian vessels, you are conducting unsafe and escalatory maneuvers against a United States warship. Alter course now. For the first time, a burst of sound comes back from one of the Iranian ships. Not a full transmission, not a response, just a clipped, distorted fragment across the channel. Too short to clarify, too sharp to dismiss. Then the outer contact changes speed, not away, forward. In the Combat Information Center, 3 heads turn toward the screen at the same moment. Outer contact accelerating. The bridge looks back out over bright morning water, now cut by converging wakes and tightening angles. One ship has already forced a turn, another is inside dangerous crossing range, the third is moving up, no longer content to hold its position. This is no longer pressure alone, this is setup. And at 6:23 local time, as the first vessel clears the bow and the second closes from the flank, a sudden flash of movement breaks across one Iranian deck. Inside the Combat Information Center, the call hits like a hammer. Weapon movement, 6:23 local time. The first shot does not sound the way films suggest. It sounds short, flat, and violent. From the outer Iranian vessel, a burst of smoke kicks off the deckline. Not a warning flare, not spray. A weapon leaving rail or tube at speed. Inside the Combat Information Center, the call is immediate. Missile smoke, outer contact. Outer contact. The bridge does not freeze, it compresses. The captain turns once toward the tactical display. Set self-defense, engage by doctrine. That is the moment the encounter changes. Up to now, every movement had lived in the narrow space between intimidation and attack. Now that space is gone. Combat systems respond instantly. The sensors already locked in shift from watch to fight. Threat symbology blooms across the consoles. The outer Iranian vessel is no longer a contact to monitor. It is the primary threat. Track assigned. Solution building. Recommend immediate countermeasures. The ship moves before the words are finished. Electronic warfare activates at full combat posture. Decoy logic arms. Defensive systems align through the ship like nerves firing in one body. There is no drama in it, only speed. This is what training looks like when steel and lives are on the line. Outside, the sea that had looked empty and blue less than 10 minutes earlier is now cut into chaos by converging wakes. The lead Iranian vessel, the one that forced the turn across the bow, is still inside the danger ring. The second vessel remains off-angle, close enough to exploit distraction. And now the third, the patient one, has revealed why it stayed wide. It was saving room to shoot. Time to threat, the captain asks. Seconds, the Combat Information Center answers. Execute. A defensive response kicks loose from the United States warship in a blur of motion and flame. The exact weapon matters less than the sequence. Detect, assign, fire, confirm. The counter comes fast enough to break the attack before it reaches the ship's skin. From the bridge windows, sailors catch a sharp flash low over the water, followed almost immediately by a violent spray and black smoke. Something out there dies before reaching its target, but no one celebrates because the fight is already widening. The lead Iranian vessel, still forward of the American bow, turns hard, as if trying to convert confusion into a closer attack line. On the opposite side, the second ship surges in, reducing the distance further. Whether they expected the first shot to hit or simply open a window does not matter now. Their geometry has collapsed into open combat. Contact 1 closing, Contact 2 increasing speed. Multiple hostile vessels inside surface engagement zone. The captain's next order is blunt. Take the nearest shooter first, break the formation. That becomes the entire logic of the battle. Not destroy everything at once, not chase the widest threat first. Break the coordinated attack before all three ships can act as one weapon. The forward gun speaks. This time the sound is unmistakable. Heavy, measured, mechanical violence delivered with purpose. The rounds go not into the sea as a warning, but onto a hostile surface track at lethal distance. The nearest Iranian vessel, the one that had cut aggressively across the bow and stayed inside the pocket, absorbs the first punishment. From the optics feed, the impacts register as sharp flashes along the forward half of the hull, then smoke, then a jagged burst of debris thrown outward from the superstructure. Contact 1 hit, the Combat Information Center reports, still making way. The Iranian ship does not go quietly. It yaws, throws spray, and keeps moving. But the rhythm is gone. Its line through the water is no longer controlled. Speed bleeds off. Smoke thickens. Men on deck disappear from view. The second Iranian vessel reacts immediately, turning inward harder, as if trying to restore pressure through proximity. It closes from the flank, betting on short range and confusion. The United States warship answers by changing the picture again. Left rudder, open the angle. Keep guns on Contact 2. The ship bends just enough to deny an easy crossing lane while preserving the weapon's arc. A small movement, but tactically it matters. The American ship is no longer just surviving inside the trap. It is reshaping it. At 6:25, the sea between the combatants is streaked with smoke, disturbed wakes, and the residue of burned propellant. What had been a clean 3-axis approach is now fractured. One Iranian ship is damaged and drifting out of disciplined motion. The second is pressing too close too fast. The third remains farther out, but no longer invisible. Inside the Combat Information Center, operators fight for clarity through clutter. Maintain track on Contact 3. Contact 2 now primary surface threat. Recommend re-engagement. On the camera feed, the second Iranian vessel reveals movement near its forward section. Crew bunching low. Another shape turning toward the American ship. A weapon crew or launcher team trying to exploit the seconds before the United States ship fully resets. The response is immediate. More gunfire, more controlled bursts. Not wasteful, not panicked. Precise enough to force distance. Violent enough to deny confidence. Rounds strike the water just ahead of the approaching vessel, then walk inward. One impact lands high enough to tear fragments across the visible deckline. The Iranian ship breaks its approach angle, not fully retreating, but no longer driving with the same certainty. That matters too. The coordinated attack is unraveling. One ship hurt, one ship checked. But the third vessel is still out there, still intact, still holding the one thing the others have now lost: space. And space at sea is opportunity. At 6:26, through smoke and broken geometry, the outer Iranian vessel begins to swing into a cleaner firing arc. It has waited through the first exchange, waited while the nearer ships absorbed the American response, waited while the water filled with distraction. Inside the Combat Information Center, the operator sees it first. Contact 3 maneuvering for line of fire. The captain's eyes lift toward the bridge glass, toward the far grey shape cutting across bright water. The most dangerous ship had stayed back for a reason. Now it was finally making its move. 6:27 local time. The 4th minute of the fight belongs to the ship that waited. Through broken wakes and drifting smoke, the outer Iranian vessel cuts into a cleaner arc off the United States warship's starboard quarter. It is farther out than the other two, less damaged, less disrupted, and until now it has avoided the worst of the American return fire. That distance is not caution, it is design. It kept room to shoot while the others closed in and forced reactions. Inside the Combat Information Center, the tactical plot clears just enough to show the danger. Contact 3 has line of fire, range opening slightly. Recommend immediate engagement. The captain does not hesitate. Take it. The response moves through the ship in exact order. Sensors refine the track. Fire control assigns priority. The bridge does not crowd the Combat Information Center, and the Combat Information Center does not crowd the bridge. Each station does its part, because this is what discipline looks like under pressure. No wasted words, no overlap, just clean execution. The American warship shifts just enough to improve weapons geometry. Right rudder steady. Outside, the bow moves a few degrees, not a dramatic turn, but enough to bring the ship's own offensive angle into better alignment while denying the Iranian vessel the easiest shot. On the horizon, the outer contact seems to realize the window is shrinking. Its hull throws harder spray. It is either committing or trying to beat the United States ship to the next second. It loses. The American gun fires again. This time the rounds reach farther. Across open water, the impacts march toward the Iranian vessel with ugly precision. One lands short, another flashes along the hull, then a hit bites deeper, somewhere around the forward third of the ship. The optics feed jolts with spray, fragments, and a sudden bloom of grey-black smoke. Contact 3 hit. Observe damage forward. No one on the United States ship mistakes a hit for a kill. Not yet. Damaged ships can still shoot. Burning ships can still ram. The captain knows it. So does everyone else. Stay on it, he says. The outer Iranian vessel tries to hold its firing angle, but the effect of the strike is visible now. Its bow line wobbles, smoke thickens near the forward section. The wake behind it loses symmetry, then shortens. Speed is bleeding. At the same time, the second Iranian vessel, the one pressing from the flank, makes one last aggressive move. Perhaps it sees the outer ship faltering. Perhaps it knows the coordinated attack is collapsing, and this is the last chance to force damage before the whole formation breaks. Whatever the reason, it turns in hard again, trying to close the distance into a zone where reaction time shrinks and outcomes get uglier. Contact 2 reapproaching fast. The bridge glass fills with motion, smoke hanging low. White water crossing white water. The damaged lead vessel drifting farther out of useful position. The outer vessel burning but still afloat. And now the flank ship coming in with desperate speed. The captain's answer is immediate. Shift fire. Nearest threat. That is the logic of a professional fight at sea. Not vengeance, not fixation. The most dangerous target is the one that can still hurt you first. The gun mounts realign. The United States warship hits the approaching vessel before it can complete the run. Impacts walk across the waterline and into the visible structure above it. Through the optics, a sharp burst tears from near the center section of the Iranian ship, then another. The vessel shears off its line almost instantly, throwing a hard, uneven turn to escape the kill zone. Contact 2 breaking, possible damage midship. For the first time since 6:14, all 3 Iranian ships are no longer advancing as a unit. One is trailing smoke and nearly out of the fight. One has lost the confidence to keep charging. One is damaged at range and losing speed. Inside the Combat Information Center, you can hear the shift without anyone naming it. The cadence changes. The calls become less about surviving the geometry and more about controlling it. Contact 1 drifting outside effective position. Contact 2 no longer on intercept heading. Contact 3 slowing. Fire still visible. The American warship has taken back the fight, not because the sea got quieter. It has not. Smoke still drifts. Radar returns still jump through clutter. Weapons stations still track every possible movement. But the balance is no longer in doubt. 8 minutes ago, the Iranian ships were shaping the water. Now they are reacting to it. At 6:29, the last intact Iranian vessel tries one final gamble. Instead of turning fully away, it cuts inward again, sharper than before, as if trying to force a close pass, maybe even a last-second firing solution or collision threat before withdrawing. It is not a disciplined attack now. It is a last throw from a ship that knows the formation has failed. The bridge watches it happen in real time. Contact 2 committing. The captain does not raise his voice. End it. The next American burst is the cleanest of the fight. The rounds strike with enough accuracy to break whatever remained of the vessel's resolve and control. Through the camera feed, spray erupts high off the bow, followed by a flash along the forward deck line, and then a hard veer away from the United States warship's track. The ship turns out, no longer shaping the fight, no longer trying to close, only trying to survive open water. That is the moment the battle truly changes. Not when the first shot was fired, not when the first ship was hit, but now when the last ship still capable of pressing the attack turns away under fire. Inside the Combat Information Center, the tactical action officer says what everyone already sees. They're breaking contact. The captain keeps watching the 3 grey shapes spread back apart across a sea they no longer control. 8 minutes earlier, they had come in like hunters. Now they were the ones trying to get out alive. 6:31 local time. The water no longer looks the way it did when this began. 8 minutes before, the sea off the United States warship's starboard side had been clear, blue, and open. Now it is cut by broken wakes, drifting smoke, and black streaks spreading low across the surface. One Iranian vessel is trailing a dirty plume from its forward section. Another is limping out of the fight on an uneven line. The third, the one that made the last desperate turn inward, is already swinging away, its stern digging hard as it tries to claw back distance. Inside the Combat Information Center, nobody assumes it is finished. Maintain tracks on all 3. Watch for secondary weapons. Confirm no additional contacts. That is how a real fight ends at sea, not with relief first, with verification. On the bridge, the captain stands exactly where he stood when the first 3 contacts swung together on the radar screen. Same posture, same voice. But the tactical picture around him has changed completely. The Iranian formation that arrived as a coordinated attack is gone. The geometry is broken, the timing is broken, the confidence is broken. Still, a damaged ship can be dangerous. At 6:32, the nearest Iranian vessel, the one that had absorbed the final accurate burst and turned away, does something that draws every eye on the bridge back to the glass. Instead of continuing a clean withdrawal, its bow hesitates, then swings just slightly inward again. Not a full attack run, not yet, but enough to force the question. Inside the Combat Information Center, the call comes immediately. Contact 2 showing minor reorientation. Range increasing, but bow angle shifting. The captain does not let the moment stretch. Hold weapons on it. All across the American warship, sensors stay fixed. The gun remains trained. Optical systems hold the track. Electronic warfare continues, listening for one more radar sweep, one more hint that this withdrawal is a setup for a final shot. For a few seconds, the wounded Iranian ship hangs in that uncertain space between disengagement and one last gamble. Smoke pours from somewhere near the forward deck. Its wake is ragged now, less a clean tactical line than the signature of a damaged hull trying to stay alive. On the optics feed, figures move across the deck in bursts, not with the coordinated rhythm of attack crews, but with the disorder of men dealing with fire, shock, and broken equipment. Then the United States warship makes the final move of the fight. Not reckless, not emotional. Final. A precise burst tears across the water ahead of the Iranian vessel's new angle. Close enough to make the answer unmistakable. Accurate enough to leave no doubt about what comes next. If it turns in again, the effect is immediate. The ship's bow swings back out harder. This time, no hesitation, no second thought. Inside the Combat Information Center, the report lands almost calmly. Contact 2 now fully withdrawing. That is it. That is the payoff. Not a dramatic speech, not a chase over the horizon. Just the moment when the last hostile ship, still considering one more move, decides against it. At 6:33, the 3 Iranian vessels are no longer one problem. They are 3 separate survivability situations. Contact 1, the original lead vessel, is still afloat but badly hurt, venting smoke and barely holding a clean line through the water. Contact 2 is fleeing fastest, damaged enough to abandon the fight but intact enough to escape. Contact 3, the ship that had waited for the clean firing lane and then lost it under disciplined American return fire, is dropping farther astern, speed visibly reduced, and its deck scarred by the strike that took away its initiative. The United States warship does not pursue blindly. That matters because this is not panic fire, this is not revenge. This is controlled combat discipline carried all the way to the end. The ship holds the battle space, confirms there is no immediate second wave, checks for damage, and keeps every sensor pointed outward. The crew knows better than to confuse victory with safety. If 3 hostile ships coordinated one attack, there could always be another layer beyond the horizon. The captain begins the transition from engagement to control. Damage report, magazine status, recheck sectors. The answers come back one by one, clipped and professional. The American ship is still in the fight, still maneuvering, still controlling the water around it. No one cheers in the Combat Information Center. No one pounds a console. The bridge stays quiet except for reports, acknowledgements, and the steady language of a crew doing exactly what it was trained to do. By 6:34, the battle is effectively finished. Smoke trails stretch across the morning sea, where the Iranian attack had come apart, minute by minute. The ship that opened the fight by forcing pressure across the American bow is no longer a threat. The flank vessel that tried to exploit confusion has been driven off. The outer vessel that waited for the cleanest shot never got to use the advantage it believed it had. They had numbers. They had the opening move. They had 3 angles against 1 United States warship. But once they crossed from intimidation into attack, they ran headlong into the one thing the United States Navy does better than almost anyone in the world. Detect early, stay calm, fight by procedure, and hit back with precision. From the bridge, the captain watches the 3 Iranian ships scatter farther apart across open water. No longer hunters, no longer coordinated, no longer in control. They came in with numbers, they left in smoke.